Georgia just landed former Alabama O-line commitment Mason Short. This is the first offensive line commitment for Georgia's 2025 class. And I got Dogs HQ insider Rusty Mansell here to break it down. And we're going to figure out how Kirby Smart was able to capitalize on an off-season turmoil at Alabama. But before we get into it, these are exciting times for UGA fans. Hit subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. We're going to be here talking dog recruiting all off-season. All right, let's bring on my guy Rusty Mansell. And that Mason Short commitment early on to Alabama was short-lived. How did Mason originally get away from Georgia, and how did they reel him back in?
Listen, Mason Short's been a long-time Georgia Bulldog fan. His entire family have been Georgia Bulldog fans. So when Georgia offered kind of early on, I thought, you know what, they're going to get this kid. All of a sudden, you enter Alabama. He goes down there. He takes a couple of visits. I talked to his head coach after he took a couple of visits to Alabama. I say, man, he's going down there a lot. He goes, Rusty, he's using the word like it feels like home. And sure enough, it wasn't long after that Alabama was able to get him verbally committed. But credit to Georgia staffs and UGA O-line coach Stacy Searles, because he didn't let up an ounce. He kept getting Mason Short back on campus and kept getting Mason Short out of Augusta, Georgia, back into that environment in Athens on game day, and it paid off today.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, he's ranked as a top 15 prospect at his position, which is interior offensive line.
Yeah.
So tell Georgia fans, what role do you see Mason Short filling on that offensive line?
Some people think he's automatically going to be a guard. I don't think so. I think he can play right tackle if he gets to that situation, but he also can slide in and play guard. He's 6'5.5". He's 310 pounds, 315 pounds. This kid can play anything. And, when you talk to recruits, when you talk to people, Josh, when they go to Georgia as a prospect, the one common denominator I always get back is, oh my goodness, how big is their offensive line prospects? And he's another one of those 1 percentile guys. I tell you this, when you look at that on-3 profile, when you click that recruiting tab, I love this for an on-3 database. And you look at the visits, the number of times he went to Alabama, and that's 9. And you look at the number of visits he went to Georgia, that's 8. Well, I can tell you that's a little bit wrong, because Mason Short took a very quiet visit to Georgia last week and actually gave Georgia his commitment at that time. So I'll change that today. It was 9 visits to Alabama and 9 visits to Georgia. It just so happened that 9th visit to Georgia is the one that paid off for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, hey, you never know, but the visits do make a big impact. Now, for Georgia fans looking at this offensive line class, this is the first commitment towards the class. We know it's not the last. So How many does Georgia want, and who's at the top of the board next to David Sanders?
Man, they want as many as they can get, and they want as big as they can get. You start talking about David Sanders out of Providence and Charlotte, major target. Everybody knows his name. You look at Nick Brooks, a young man that's in Iowa, and you say, how does Georgia go to Iowa? Well, he spent the last 5 years in Georgia. So before he moved back home to Iowa, 6'8", 345 pounds, a prospect that I absolutely love at Westlake High School there in Atlanta is Juan Gadsden, 6'7.5", 350 pounds. He plays AAU basketball. And listen, man, one thing Kirby Smart wants, Stacy Searles wants, they want the biggest guys, and they're going to sign as many as they can fit into these classes. They got a lot of major targets, and this is very early, but getting Mason Short is a huge step in the right direction, because that was a big battle now at the end down between Georgia and Clemson.
Yeah, and like you said, first O-line commitment, not the last, just the first. It's going to be a big year for Georgia O-line. Now, Georgia fans, talk to me. How we feeling about Mason Short? Let me know. Comment section below. And Rusty Mansell, exciting weekend coming up for the Dogs. Appreciate you. Dogs HQ handles all the recruiting news and football news. Great site. Appreciate you stopping by the Inside Scoop.
Thanks, Josh.
Thank you for watching this video, and if you enjoyed that, go check out the hundreds of videos that we have on this channel, and also do me a favor, hit subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel.